folks, this is part two of Who Ordered the Hit on Charlie Kirk, the Lone Gunman, or Orchestrated Political Hit. And the first part, if you watched, I went over the commentary that I usually give during my articles. You can check out the full article on gorightnews.com. So this part is basically the meat that you will find in the article and the analysis of what's going on with it. So going through the article, a nation searching for truth. Was Charlie Kirk assassinated by Antifa, hate, elite power, or foreign influence? Or God knows who else. On September 10th, and yes, I hate to date these things, but today that I'm recording this live, it's September 7th, so it's been a full week. It's been a full week. On September 10th, 2025, tragedy struck at Utah Valley University when Charlie Kirk, speaking to students and supporters at an outdoor rally, was fatally shot. His murder has become a swirling storm of grief, shock, and confusion. And like every political assassination in American history, conspiracy theories rushed in to fill the gaps where facts remain thin. I mean, I, for one, was watching the video. I was woken up, said, Charlie Kirk's been shot. I immediately went online to look. One of the first things I saw was a long-distance video, and then I saw a closer-up video. And it was awful. It went from Charlie Kirk talking about violence and was cut off at the end, and his neck, puff shirt popped up. Explosion from his neck. Blood poured out. And we all were like, is this AI in the AI world? Did somebody do this? And was this real? I can't believe that they're showing this. And rampant, considering we can't find the video of the killing of the poor white girl in Charlotte from the deranged black crazy homeless man who was failed by the system, and he was definitely somebody that needed help. We can't find that video, but somehow we found the murder of Charlie Kirk video is everywhere. Charlie Kirk's murder has become a swirling storm of grief, shock, and confusion. And like every political assassination in American history, conspiracy theories rushed in to fill the gaps where facts remain thin. I mean, this is our modern day JFK Jr., not JFK Jr., JFK murder, assassination, MLK Jr., Malcolm X, the people who tried to shoot Donald Trump, people who tried to shoot Ronald Reagan, Lincoln's assassination, Bobby Kennedy's assassination, Charlie Kirk. The silence of the accused, the scramble of investigators, and the chaos of AI-generated evidence have opened a void that distrust eagerly fills. Whether you stand on the left or the right, the official story feels incomplete. That thinness is where suspicion breeds. Much of the case hinges on digital evidence, and with the suspect Tyler Robinson, and let's say suspect, offering almost no public statements of his own, probably because he's got a great lawyer, speculation thrives. The theories stretch in many directions, from far-left movements to far-right factions, from shadowy institutions to powerful elites. So in the article on gorightnews.com, we walk through these theories. We examine what is actually known and confront the questions that still demand answers. Let's start with FBI's evidence versus the public record. Authorities say they have collected substantial evidence. One, DNA with a towel wrapped the suspected rifle from the screwdriver found on the rooftop matched Robinson, and that's been reported. Though I'll add a personal note. They went from saying that this weapon could be taken apart, and that's why the guy limped, and he put it together, and that's why he needed a screwdriver, to showing what kind of weapon it is, and then multiple people saying that weapon is not something that you could just take apart and put together so easily. And then you're talking about how these so-called Discord messages say it's his grandfather's rifle. So that kind of like consistently gets like, what was the point of the screwdriver? Moving on to court documents allege Robinson confessed in text to his partner and also via Discord messages that he planned the attack for over a week. Now, the Guardian said that Discord did not do that. We have no official press release from Discord. Either they did or didn't. Eventually, when this goes to court, somebody's going to have to attest. There's going to have to be proof that this wasn't just fabricated. We don't know. Also, prosecutors are seeking the death penalty, citing aggravating circumstances, including political motive and the presence of a child. Now, despite these claims, the public has seen very little from Robinson himself. Again, probably a really good lawyer. He does have the right to remain silent. There has been no extended testimony and no open explanation. Instead, citizens are asked to trust the FBI's word on Discord logs and forensics. The Bureau has spent years undermining its credibility, from intelligence failures before 9/11 to shifting stories around January 6th. And even with the director, some conservatives respect, Kash Patel. I met the guy. I didn't even know he was going to be the FBI director. He came locally. And the agency itself remains tarnished. Trust must be earned by transparency, not demanded through authority. And I'll just throw a note in here. When Donald Trump was attempted, they saw the guy on the roof. It was a sniper. They went over on news. They went over the trajectory. Yet, I've seen nothing about how this guy could shoot Charlie from what angle. Nothing. No analyst, no nothing. No direction. And it's weird. Like, where was the building? Where was Charlie? Was there a line of sight? Or what some people think, a friend of mine, she believes that maybe Charlie was assassinated from below the stage and shot upwards, thus the shirt puffing up, the direction. Some people try to say he was shot from somebody else on the side. I don't know. Again, conspiracy theories are conspiracy theories until they're proven differently. The internet is a giant think tank. We are all going to talk about things, and people are going to gripe. Nobody knows. There's not a trial. There's not chain of evidence or anything so far. Until then, it's all speculation, even from the FBI. So let's talk about Discord's flip-flop. The Discord connection fuels more than doubt. At first, reports suggested Discord denied that Robinson's confession message existed. Later, the company admitted the message and provided it to law enforcement. Now, the message in question reportedly read, "Hey guys, I have bad news for you. It was me at UVA yesterday, and I'm sorry for this." Meanwhile, police and FBI cycled through multiple persons of interest before naming Robinson. And to the Republic, it looks less like patient investigation and more like rushed attempt to produce a suspect. We don't know. And I talked about that. I read a little bit in the first podcast that I did on this, and I don't know. The messaging from this so-called Discord, I don't know. All I've got to say is, remember, Meta, Facebook, was pressured by the U.S. government when Biden was in office. So we don't know. As they're trying to take TikTok down for influence, they could be trying to take down Discord. They could have threatening them to play ball. But again, when it goes to court, there's going to have to be some evidence. If this is the big, the big everything. So that leads to rumors and theories in the fog of AI. Because of partial evidence and rapid news cycles, many conflicting claims have circulated. Bullet cases, supposedly marked with political messages, were discussed in social media and some outlets but remain unverified or are misreported. There's deep fakes, fake screenshots, and misdistributed posts have flooded the internet. Several outlets note that AI tools make it easier than ever to fabricate proof. I mean, I jokingly, when they said the guy was supposedly trans or furry, I threw their little video because remember they took a video of him walking and they AI enhanced it, and that's what FBI put out. And they said, look at this T-shirt, even though the AI had really distorted the T-shirt. I was like, here's a prompt. Take the gunman, his video, and put him in a Sailor Moon outfit with a rainbow AR-15. And I did it, and it created a pretty believable video of the guy walking. I mean, anything can be made now with AI. So this makes it difficult for ordinary people to know what to trust. Every unverified link can become, quote, fact in the rumor mill. So let's talk about some major conspiracy theories. One is the Antifa angle, or some people even say now the Furtifa or whatever, the Trans-Tifa. Some voices on the right immediately speculated that Robinson was tied to Antifa or far left radical networks. Prosecutors allege Robinson referenced opposition to Kirk's rhetoric about transgender issues or part of his motive. Now, no confirmed evidence links Robinson to Antifa groups. There has been no organizational claim, not that the Antifa will do that, of responsibility, and no verifiable ties between Robinson and the Antifa operations have surfaced. Still, critics point to a climate of anti-conservative rhetoric in progressive spaces that may have fueled individual radicalization. Now, folks, what's ironic and the irony is that the last question that Charlie Kirk received was about transgender killings and guns, and I think they said, do you know how many killings there are and how many transgender? He said there's too many. And the guy's like, well, do you know how many gun shootings have there been? And then Charlie asked, not counting or counting gang of violence. And that's when Charlie was murdered. There's a lot of speculation going around. So, two, the FBI setup or false flag. Another theory is that the FBI orchestrated the attack as a false flag to suppress conservative speech or to push stricter gun laws. This suspicion draws on the Bureau's history of surveillance abuses and politically motivated operations. Critics note that the FBI initially let multiple suspects go before naming Robinson, fueling questions about whether they are scrambling for a narrative. Others argue that the FBI's quick embrace of this political motive label feels like framing the event to advance agendas. So far, there is no evidence in public records that the FBI staged the shooting, or the CIA, or anybody. The DNA evidence and confession logs released in court filings point directly to Robinson's actions. Again, time will tell. Yet, given the FBI's credibility problems, this theory continues to spread. Then you got the Discord connection. Discord has confirmed that Robinson used its platform to post messages confessing after the fact. Critics argue that this means the platform was central, not incidental. Theories branch in two directions. Negligence. Discord failed earlier, despite its ability to enforce meme bans and monitor speech. I mean, we're talking about Discord. I even got removed from Discord a long time ago. They said I was talking about the election, and that's when they were getting rid of everybody. Complicity. By driving controversial voices into smaller corners of the app, critics claim Discord may have inadvertently created echo chambers that foster violence, which, that's everywhere. You got Telegram, you got Discord, you got 4chan, you got X, you got every single thing out there. And what's worrying is if the government starts to try to do what they did, or what they're trying to do to TikTok, to these different platforms, which is basically directly taking away our free speech. Now, Discord counters that it found no evidence to attack was planned on their platform. Still, the reversal from no messages to here's the confession has fueled suspicion. That definitely got me. And again, I'm not sure about those messages. And the next one is the Epstein style elimination. This theory assumes Robinson will never make it to trial, silenced in custody like Epstein. Supporters note how politically inconvenient suspects often disappear or die before testifying. I actually think the rule of law should change on that. I feel like, look, if the suspect, I know it would be a little bit different trial, but if the suspect gets assassinated or murdered or kills themselves before trial, I think there should be still trial. I still think evidence should be gone over, even posthumously. Now, currently, Robinson is alive. He's been arraigned, and prosecutors in Utah are pursuing the death penalty. And this makes the theory premature. But skepticism persists because Americans have been seeing these high-profile prisoners die under government watch before. Then there's the internal right-wing theory. A fringe view suggests Kirk have been targeted not by the left, but by radical actors within the right who saw him as too moderate or insufficiently loyal. Candace Owens has pushed this angle, suggesting Kirk shifted on Israel policy, and that financial elites like Bill Ackman pressured him. That Pastor Rob McCoy refuted these claims as conspiratorial and unfounded. Now, Ackman himself flatly denied the allegation. And no evidence currently supports this theory, but it resonates with some conservatives who feel betrayed by internal fractures in their own movement. And I will add the other theory that a lot of people are talking, and it goes into the JQ question that I never really like to do, because when you talk about the Jews, people automatically say you're anti-Semitic. And the conspiracy theory is that possibly Bibi has something to it. These are the same people that are asking questions about October 7th, asking questions about what's going on in Gaza. Is it a massacre? Are the Jewish leadership becoming sort of like a Nazi-esque, exterminating the Palestinians? There's that back and forth. Was Charlie talking about that? Was Charlie changing his mind about that? That is some of the things that Candace Owens went over. And I'll talk about it. Some people will say, oh, you're anti-Semitic. I mean, these are the same people. Some people say, when I talk and I do my opinion, you're a right-wing, far-left, Nazi, fascist. And then the rest are calling me a left-wing, Marxist, woke leftist. I'm called by every single name in the book at the end of the day. But I'm going to speak my mind, and I'm just bringing in the points, folks. I am the messenger, and please, please do not kill the messenger. We've already had enough of that. So we're moving on to the presidential question in America's bloody pattern. Another layer of speculation connects Kirk's assassination to his eligibility to run for president. At just 31, Kirk would not meet the constitutional age requirement today. But in 4 short years, he would be eligible. But he actually would be eligible in 2028. My other half brought that up. As founder of Turning Point USA, he had the network, the name recognition, and the financial backers to position himself as the future national candidate. In fact, we looked it up, and as long as you are 35 years old of age by the date of inauguration, which he would have been 35 years and 3 months, so he would have been old enough to actually run for president or vice president. Now, some theorists suggests that Kirk's shifting stance on Israel and Jewish leadership, along with the rumored refusal to align with entrenched deep state agendas, may have put him in the crosshairs. Similar accusations have been leveled historically when rising figures challenged powerful networks. The United States has a long history of assassinations and assassination attempts against leaders who challenged elites or threatened established orders. One Abraham Lincoln, he killed for holding the Union together and ending slavery. Then we have John F. Kennedy. He was shot in Dallas under circumstances that still breed conspiracy theories. Then we have Robert F. Kennedy, widely seen as a future president, killed before he could reach the White House. Then Martin Luther King Jr., gunned down for demanding racial justice and civil rights. Then Malcolm X, assassinated after breaking with the established leadership and taking a more radical stand. Now, they say radical, but he talked about things. He talked against the radicals. He talked about the Democrats. He talked about the Republicans. He talked. Ronald Reagan, he was nearly killed by a gunman outside a Washington hotel. And then there's Donald Trump, survived an assassination attempt that underscored the danger of political polarization, and many people are worried. They had at least 4 attempts on Donald Trump's life. And we've seen from Charlie, anything can happen. Placed in this grim lineage, Kirk's death looks more like an isolated act and more like a part of tragic American pattern. When rising leaders gain traction and appears unwilling to bow to hidden powers, bullets too often follow. Now later on, I will connect this to the first part, which I went over the commentary. I know this sounds like a lot of commentary, but if you read the article at gorightnews.com, and this will be copied to gatesfortrump.org, Gates for Liberty, more than likely, and Go Right and see the other platforms that I also run, and will be all over the internet. Folks, if you want to be a part of making change, then I urge you for more coverage and independent analysis from the Constitutionalists for Liberty perspective. I urge you to visit gorightnews.com and follow me, hashtag GoRight with Peter Boykin, on rumble.com/GoRightNews. You can follow Spreaker, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, Gab, Truth Social, TikTok, Facebook, X, I don't know, Blue Crab, or whatever they call that thing. Support grassroots media by donating at Cash App at the $ Go Right News. Again, to frame this article, Charlie Kirk's murder has unleashed a storm of theories, Antifa plots, FBI false flags, Discord cover-ups, even elite leadership sabotage. And the official story names one suspect, but Americans are demanding transparency and not narrative. And folks, I have been running a tribute songs. I took Dolly Parton's song, and I'm sorry, Dolly, but The World on Fire, and I made a Charlie Kirk tribute song, and I played that. So check out that podcast, and it worked out pretty good. Again, thank you for tuning in to hashtag Go Right. I kind of like this format. I'll try to continue doing it in the future. And stay tuned for the rest. God bless.